Welcome to Massamini Makes. My name is Will, and today I'm going to be taking you on a garden/yard tour. It's currently late January, so there's not much to see in the garden, but I can give you an idea of what things will look like in the future. Since this is the first tour on this channel, I thought I would talk a little bit about my gardening background. I grew up gardening from a young age. Every year, my dad and I would start seeds in our basement in late winter, transplant them outside in the spring, and then have fresh veggies all summer. We also had over a dozen trees on our yard, from peaches, plums, nectarines, apples, pears, and cherries. We also had a strawberry patch in the front yard and a small raspberry bush in the back. Suffice it to say, I had plenty of fresh homegrown fruits and vegetables growing up. So I'm definitely not completely new to gardening, but now I'm starting from scratch, and there is a lot of preparation and planning that I didn't have to handle before. With that being said, let's get on with the tour. First up, I have the planter garden. When I bought this house last summer, this brick planter was already here, but it was overgrown with a few flowers and a whole bunch of purslane. I decided to clear it out and turn it into a small vegetable garden. I also built a raised bed behind the planter and planted it out as well. Unfortunately, this was in early July, which was right at the start of a pretty significant drought for my area. It was also extremely hot. These conditions, combined with doing the work necessary to set up my new house, meant that I wasn't able to give the garden the attention it needed, and most of the plants never got going. All I got out of this bed was a couple of small tomatoes and an ounce or two of dry beans. Now that I'm starting this channel, I hope to have a better form of accountability so that I don't kill my garden this year due to neglect, and have a much more fruitful garden this summer. The plan for this planter this year is to put in 2 rows of tomatoes with herbs and onions interplanted in between the rows. I expanded the raised bed, took off its side, and its destiny looks like peppers, zucchini, and yellow squash. The remaining section of the formal garden is these long rows. Last fall, after watching tons of Charles Dowding videos, I decided that no dig was the way I wanted to go and ordered 4 yards of compost to fill the planter and build out these 2 rows. They're each 4 by 20 feet. Right now, all I have planted is the garlic at the end from the fall. Once everything is planted out, there will be corn, beans, carrots, radishes, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, melon, squash, lettuce, spinach, kale, and onions along with the garlic. I plan to have a lot of variety, so there won't be too much of any one thing. I'm probably most excited for the corn because that is one of the few things that I never had any success with growing when I was younger. Hopefully I can turn that around this year. The final part of the backyard is my fruit trees. Right now they exist on the Trees of Antiquity farms in California, but they should be here in early March. I have 16 trees ordered, including nectarines, apples, cherries, peaches, and plums. The pink flags you can see around the yard are marking where they will end up. I'm planning on keeping the trees pruned to a height I can reach from the ground, so I can afford to keep them planted closer together. That will require a little more work pruning each year, but in the long run, I think it will make them more manageable. Now that I've covered everything in the backyard, let's head off to the front. My front yard has lots of potential. There are plenty of areas that I can squeeze in more plants. For this upcoming year though, my front yard focus will be on putting in strawberries and raspberries. Right in front of the front porch, or right here behind me, is one of those perfect spots. The previous owners had a lot of ornamental plants which I am chopping and dropping in place and replacing with strawberries. The other perfect location is here along the front of the house. This strip is just over 20 feet long, so I have enough room for 10 raspberry bushes. Now raspberries are my partner's favorite fruit, so 10 will definitely not be enough, but it will be a good start. That covers all my planned plantings for this spring and summer, but I had some thoughts I wanted to leave you with before you go. Looking back at my childhood experience with gardening, I know I definitely didn't appreciate what we had as much as I should have. I would grumble about weeding, or complain about having to pick up fallen fruit, oftentimes letting it sit and rot under the trees all winter. I understand now that the best result will come from putting in the work and doing the weeding and pruning. My mentality now is that even if it is a task that I don't really want to do, the garden can be my place to spend some time, relax, and unwind. As cheesy as it might sound, I want to view working in the garden as an opportunity instead of a chore. My goal for my garden is to grow as much as possible and become as close to self-sufficient as possible when it is producing. That won't happen in the first year, partly because fruit trees take multiple years to produce, but also because I know I'll make mistakes. But I'll keep striving to get closer and closer to that goal each year. Keeping everything in good order will enable that and give me the best chance at success. Thanks for joining me on this garden tour. The next time you see me in the garden, I'll definitely be planting something. So hopefully it won't look this barren for long. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time.